Adil into his third. Next delivery short and bouncing over the top and a little too high for the liking of umpire Owen Brown at square leg. So a wide ball signaled. Adil bending his back and getting that one bouncing, which gives an indication of the amount of bounce in the pitch. But if you get that bouncer where it flies over the top of the fielder, then that, or of the batter rather, then that certainly is not to the liking of the umpires. And so that is another wide. Adil 3 deliveries now into his third over, but still only 2 legal deliveries bowled. Oh, great delivery, slanting across, leaving the right-hander and sailing through to the keeper. That is a good piece of bowling. And Umer Siddiqui with the gloves on carries through to him at a good height and good pace. Oh, look at that ball. Looking at that replay, slanting right across him, angled in from over the wicket, and then pitching and leaving him at the last second. That's a beautiful, beautiful piece of bowling by Adil. Not surprising from somebody of his caliber. But now, when you're looking to make sure that you have runs flowing, you want to see things happening, it's going to be very difficult to get anything going against this opening pair. Here's Adil again. Looking to drop and run, shy at the non-striker's end, and no opportunity for a run out. In the end, not very accurate. It was very high, so even if the bowler or the batter would have been out of his crease, that throw was way too high to be of much concern. But once again, Seattle sort of clicking through the gears very slowly. And to the extent that you want to see runs scored, there's not a lot happening at the moment. When you chose to bat first, Seattle, you would have been looking to be much more accurate or at least much more effective inside the power play. Overs not happening. Oh, this cuts him in half, but it's going to run close to the boundary. In fact, it will get to the boundary. So we see the signal there is given as run. So that obviously came off of the glove. I want to see that again. Missed it live, actually coming back, cutting him in half. And that obviously clipped what appeared to be pad, but given as runs by umpire Rakesh Jain. So let's assume that that came off the inside of the glove onto the pad. That's the best that we can tell from that angle. But either way, it runs away for 4. That's the important point for the Seattle Thunderbolts. So 1 ball remaining here in this, the 5th over. The 3rd being bowled here by Adil. And played back to just the right of the bowler. Fields on his follow through, and there's no run. So that is the end of the over. Apologies for us not having the feed up initially, but hopefully you're able to see it right now. And just to give an update of where we are, having chosen to bat, the Seattle Thunderbolts are 19 for the loss of 2 wickets. The batters are Shaswat Kohli, 4 from 6, and Haider Raja, 2 from 4. The opening batters, both Dilpreet Bajwa and Israul Haq, were dismissed relatively early. Dilpreet Bajwa was dismissed, caught from the last ball of Adil's second over, and then the first ball of Ziaul Haq's second over resulted in a wicket also. That was a dismissal of Israul Haq. So 19 for 2, the score after 5. So 1 ball or 1 over remaining in the power play. And we have our first bowling change of the day. This is going to be, get the name of the new bowler as soon as we have it. In fact, that is going to be Asif Mahmood. So Asif Mahmood, right arm, bowling over the wicket, coming into bowl from the highway in the southern end of the ground. And he will be bowling to Shaswat Kohli. Shaswat Kohli now 4 from 7. His only scoring shot was a boundary, or it was given as a boundary. I believe that it actually may have come off of his pad, but given his runs by the umpire. And Shaswat Kohli will not matter about that one bit. As long as he's able to get runs against his name, that's the only thing that matters to him. So 19 for 2, that hopefully gets us caught up with where we are in the match. And this is now going to be Asif Mahmood. Down the leg side, good carry. Given obviously is wide by umpire Owen Brown, but that has to be encouraging, because if you are Asif Mahmood and you bowl that type of delivery but get the right line, get it on that off stump or outside the off stump line, it's always going to be something very difficult. But he obviously has good pace. That ball carrying through to the keeper at a great pace and at good height and bounce. In the air, that would have been a simple catch had mid-on been at about 5 yards closer. Staying in the air an extraordinarily long time, but not able to carry it to that mid-on fielder, and he would have not had the opportunity to run in and take that catch. Boy, two impressive balls to start with. First one was a wide going down the leg side, but this second one definitely beat Haider Raja for pace. Okay, here's this next delivery. He does the smart thing here. Just drops it down to deep third for a single. Anytime you're having trouble getting bat to ball, that's always a good thing to do. Just pinch a single and get off strike. In the meantime, Asif Mahmood is going to, I think, be somebody to watch the rest of the way, because he ends up being somebody, I think, who hits the deck relatively hard, doesn't sprint in very fast, and he's not as big or as tall as, say, an Ihsan Adil. But he gets good bounce and good pace and good carry. Here he is again. Oh, look at that ball take off. And it's going to be given as a wide. I think there is certainly a warning, well, not warning, but one for the over signal by umpire Owen Brown. Just a split second there. It appeared that umpire Rakesh Jain was signaling wide, but he ended up not signaling that to be wide. And so a very aggressive looking delivery, but only given as one for the over. So again, good signs that we see here by Mahmood. This is down the leg side again, and again good carry. Interestingly, that there is a fine leg in position, a short fine leg, almost like a deep leg slip. And I'm wondering if that line, that body line that he's bowling, he's had a couple go down that leg side, but I'm wondering if he's intentionally trying to get the batter to play in that direction. I can't imagine that that would be intentional, but the fact that that fielder is there at fine leg / leg slip sort of gives that impression. This is a dot ball played into the gully area in the backward point area for no run. So this is really interesting to see the bowling that is performed at this point by Asif Mahmood. And I want to see how well he closes out the rest of this over. Just 2 balls remaining now in the 6th. 2 balls remaining in the power play. Right arm over the wicket. Oh, another good delivery. Very quick. And just dropping it on the leg side and running through for a single. So that is Haider Raja taking advantage of the opportunity to get that single. So 3 runs from the over, 2 of which were wides. But I'll tell you, I am extremely impressed with what I've seen from Asif Mahmood so far. So this is going to be the last ball of his first over. And I suspect, given the fact that after this delivery, you will see the end of the power play, that you can have a little bit more freedom and a little bit more experimentation, if you will. So I expect if he gets another over after this one, for him to change things up. There's a deep fine leg in position. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a short delivery. And in fact, it's shortened at the body, but fended down to Ihsan Adil at short fine leg. They take a single. That is the end of an eventful over. Good over for me from Asif Mahmood. At the end of 6, the power play is done and dusted. The score is 23 for 2. So very underwhelming power play for the Seattle Thunderbolts after having won the toss and deciding to bat. They only scored 23 in those first 6 overs and lost 2 wickets in the process. So they're going to want to get things changed around here. Right now on pace to only score 77 runs, and they'll want much more than that. This is going to be off of the pad, I think, and running away for 4. No, it's giving us runs. Glanced down the leg side and gone away for 4. So not the most impressive of starts by Jaskaran Singh Buttar. Getting that one a little too straight. And here you see on the replay, angled in and whipped away down the leg side. Initially, I thought that might have come off the pad, but looking at the replay, it's clear it came off the inside edge of the bat and runs away for 4. Jaskaran Singh Buttar bowling from the forest end. A little too straight on that first ball, and he gets punished for it. So looking to find that good line. Most of these bowlers so far are bowling at a decent pace. In fact, I would say all 4 that we've seen so far are bowling at good pace. Just have to find that line. Again, this one just kind of glanced down to deep backward square for a single. Slightly better line, but for me, I'd like to see that ball more on the off-stump line. If the batter walks across his stumps and plays it to the leg side, that's one thing. But if he's standing on leg stump, which is where this batter is taking his guard, then he shouldn't be able to just work you that easily onto the leg side. You have to be somewhere on and around off-stump with your stock delivery. Anyway, we'll talk about more of that later. 2 first deliveries of this over end up resulting in 5 runs. And Jaskaran Singh Buttar now bowling over the wicket and punched with a high front arm down to long on. That length is a decent one, and the line was more along the lines of what we're looking for. I think was on a middle and off line, and certainly worked down the ground for a single. So you want those batters playing down the ground if possible. You have a deep mid-off and a deep mid-on. So long off and long on, if you will. And so to take advantage of that opportunity, you certainly want to have them playing in that direction. Next delivery. Oh, almost wrapping him on the pad. Half-hearted appeal. Umpire Rakesh Jain signaling to Owen Brown that there's 2 balls remaining, but just for a split second it looked like he was raising his finger. Looking at the replay, slanted in. Oh, that might have just missed the bat and going down, I think, on the angle, taking it down the leg side. But I think you have to be careful to not get trapped on the crease here if you're Shaswat Kohli. 5 from 10 with 1 boundary. His next delivery, good again. High front arm, punching it down to long on. And so just 1 ball remaining now in the 7th over. 30 for 2 is the score. So a very underwhelming start again by the Seattle Thunderbolts. This couple trying to just sort of get things going again. Current run rate of 4.39 projects to a total score of 88. So they scored 88 in the Samp Army scored 88 in about 5 overs earlier in today's match. So you have plenty of work to do if you are the Seattle Thunderbolts. They're playing against a Kingsmen side that is a good batting side. So they're going to have to be very careful here. Down the leg side, that's a great take. Absolutely great take. My keeper, Omer Siddiqui. Yet another wide, and I'll tell you what, wides are actually keeping the Thunderbolts in this game. Including that last wide, there have been 8 extras, which translates to 26% of the runs that are scored. My goodness. So when you're scoring a quarter of your runs in extras, it doesn't say much for you as a batting side, but it does say that you're being given chances by the opposition. Let's see if you can cash these in. Here's the last delivery. In the air, and it's going to be wide of that fielder in the deep. Comes across a few yards and just prevents the damage to 1 run. Good strong throw to the keeper's end too. So that is the end of the over. Over number 7 is up, and it's actually a relatively productive over. 9 runs coming from it. The most expensive over in the inning so far. At the end of 7, the score is 32 for 2. So 31 for 2. I may have gotten the score wrong at the end of that last over. I said 32, I believe. I've been corrected and stand corrected. The score is 31 for 2 after 7. The Seattle Thunderbolts, after having chosen to bat, are struggling to get the ball off the square. And it's not going to get much easier. This next bowler is going to be Fawad Alam. Once again, if you are able to come in and make a couple of comments in the YouTube chat section, more than happy to take those comments, such as that comment from Cameron. Samp Army is an all-star team. Harsh comparison. Not comparing exactly the two teams. I'm only comparing how far each of them got at this respective stage in the innings and what the situation was. So happy to have you disagree with me. In fact, it gives me something to talk about since I am the only commentator in this match. So in fact, we happy to carry on an argument in the comment section, if you will. Once again, it just gives me something extra to talk about. Talking by yourself for 4 hours is never an easy thing. Oh, third delivery. Kind of cuts the batter in half and runs through for what could have been a single, but they end up not taking one. So 3 dot balls to start with here in the eighth rather. Fawad Alam. Left arm around the wicket. Oh, attempted scoop shot. Doesn't exactly pull it off. And then the throw down to the non-striker's end. Misses on the direct hit, and they run through for what is being signaled by umpire Owen Brown as a leg by. So Sai Shankar wants to know if it was 5 overs, 88 by Samp Army on the same pitch. The answer to that question is yes. I may be wrong on the exact score. It might have been somewhere around 80 runs in 5 overs, but that certainly was the case. I can look back on my notes from the first innings or the first match and let you know when we have a break in this action. But certainly was the case that on the same pitch, the Samp Army took full toll of all bowling in this first match. And this is just a punch back to the bowler now for no run. 1, in fact, that is the end of the over. So good, tidy over. Bowled here by Fawad Alam. That is the end of number 8. At the end of 8, the score is 32 for 2. In the air and a diving attempt by that fielder at short cover that looks like Shehan Jayasuriya. Outstretched right hand and not quite able to pouch it. Gave it a good effort, diving away to his right. Boy, here we see on the replay. I thought for a split second he may have just had that. Driving uppishly, and Shehan Jayasuriya with a full stretch dive and just hit him, I think, just in the palm of his hand, but certainly not able to pouch it. That's unfortunate. That would have been a spectacular catch had he been able to pull that off. And unfortunately for him, he's had a lot of work to do today, and I'll tell you, he's done well. Almost pulled off a spectacular catch there. Swipe and a miss. So the pressure building now on these two Seattle batters, Haider Raja and Shaswat Kohli. Haider Raja 10 from 17 with 1-4. Shaswat Kohli 6 from 13 with also 1-4. But we're now into the 9th over and only 33 runs are on the board. And so you feel that the pressure of the moment is building on these two. They absolutely need to get the score going because you're going to need a lot of runs to beat this Kingsmen side, I would think. And this is pulled all the way down to long on for a single. So a couple of different questions coming in. Sai Shankar, I think I answered your question already. 5 overs, 88. How's the pitch playing? What's the par score looking like? The pitch is playing relatively decently. This morning it started out, and we're using the same pitch right now as we were this morning. It started out a little up and down, but probably halfway through the first innings from this morning onward, it has played for the most part pretty true. There's a fair amount of grass on it, but it's a hard pitch, and the fast bowlers are getting out of it what they put into it. This is going to be a bye, I believe, as it gets through. Yep, there's the bye signaled, and the ball gets through the keeper. But as I was saying, for the most part, it's playing true. And I don't think that there's any trouble with the pitch itself. Any issues, I think, with difficulty scoring has been because of the bowling of the Kingsmen X. The Kingsmen X are a really good bowling side. You open the bowling with two former Pakistani openers, and then certainly the support bowlers coming in have been no less frugal. And this is going to be a single out to wide long on. That should be the last ball of this, the 9th over. Just confirming. No, one more ball remaining with 36 runs on the board. And so, yeah, so it's called cricket. That's my impression. My impression is that the pitch itself is fine. If you asked me what a par score was before this game started, I would have said around 160. Certainly not a 240 pitch the way that Samp Army made it look, but it certainly is not a pitch where the team that is batting now is projected to score only 80. It's a higher par score than that. And a booming drive missed out on there. And so the frustration continues. Haider Raja now 10 from 19. Shaswat Kohli 8 from 16. The batting or the scoring has slowed to a halt. And after the end of 9, the score is 36 for 2. So Fawad Alam is back into the attack to bowl his second over. First over went for just 1 run. So good accurate bowling by the Pakistani all-rounder. This ball is whipped down into that wide mid-wicket area. They'll get 1 run. So another question asked by Sai Shankar. How are these players playing at more than 105-degree temperatures? What do they do to keep them hydrated? This is played back to forward the line himself for no run. Well, the simple answer is you stay hydrated, Sai. I've never been a professional athlete, but I've been around enough professional athletes, including in my own family, to know that you have to keep or stay hydrated. And hydration is not something that happens on the day of the sporting event. So the idea is to be hydrated throughout the entirety of the week in which you'll be playing in a tournament like this. Something around 100 or 120 ounces of water a day is probably what you need, so that you don't wait until the day of the event to try to get hydrated. And I suspect that these professional players know that. We've seen very few water breaks. In fact, we don't even have a water break halfway through the innings, which you ordinarily have. So that tells me that the players themselves are perfectly fine and stay hydrated, which is not unexpected for such a professionally run tournament and in this environment. So you're absolutely right. It's absolutely brutal temperatures. I'm sitting here in the shade and there's a slight breeze, but I'm still sweating and I'm not playing in a cricket match. Driven down the ground, this is going to be straight to long on for a single. So this over, just one ball remaining in this, in fact, that's the end of the over. So that is the end of forward alarm's second over. Second over goes for 4 runs. Score is 40 for 2, and we're halfway through the innings. So we'll talk a little bit about what the rest of this innings might look like after a short break. Halfway through the innings, the score is 40 for 2. Samp Army. I'll talk about Samp Army in a second. Seattle Thunderbolts, after having chosen to bat, are struggling to get the ball off the square, and they only have 40 runs on the board halfway through the innings. So going back to a question that was asked earlier, Sai Shankar, you asked whether or not it was 5 overs 88 by Samp Army on the same pitch. I was inaccurate about the number of runs, but from overs 14 to 17 or 13 to 17 this morning, they scored 83 runs. So not far off in terms of the number of runs that were scored. It was absolutely brutal hitting, and they accelerated beautifully throughout the innings and ended up with a score of 241. So this is Jaskaran Singh Buttar coming into bowl his third over. Oh, appeal for catch and not given. In fact, more of a half-hearted appeal. But once again, you see Haider Raja struggling to get the ball away. Nothing happening from either of these batters, and the overall run rate is more like what you'd expect to see in a test match. In fact, if you watch the most recently concluded Ashes test match, England scored at a rate much higher than this. Current run rate now is under 4. We'll get to the rest of that in just a second. Next delivery in the air over the fielder at cover, and it's going to, in fact, the backward point is going to run away for a very well needed boundary. They absolutely needed this, and they need a whole lot more of these, because I think you're building a lot of pressure here, and you're going to want to make sure that you are able to cash in on any scoring opportunities. So this one running away down to the boundary for 4. A little bit of width offered by Jaskaran Singh Buttar, and finally cashed in on by Haider Raja. So he moves up to 17 from 26. His partner at the other end, Shaswat Kohli, 9 from 17. Here's Jaskaran again. Wanted to pinch a single there, but no realistic chance of anything happening. Okay, next question. Pawan Kunduru. Pawan, me if I'm mispronouncing your name. Who are the international stars playing in this tournament? Off the top of my head, Shannon Gabriel, and Kruma Bonner. Bonner is playing in this match. Uh, Sheldon Cotterill, Martin Guptill. Those are the only ones that come to mind immediately. After we take a break, I'll look back at the team lists and I'll give you a more complete list. But those are just the ones I've seen myself today. Looking for a big drive, thick outside edge, and it goes down to deep third for another single. But let's just say that there are a number of current international stars and there are a number of former international stars. In this very match, you have Ehsan Adil, who played for Pakistan, as did Zia ul Haq, and of course Fawad Alam, who is now the support bowler, the spin bowler, bowling from the highway end. You'll be happy to see him bat later on. Also saw Rakeem Cornwall's name actually in this match, supposed to be in this match, but my understanding is he's not going to be playing. I'll get some clarification on that later on. But a handful of both current and former players, former international players, who are around. And once again, as soon as we get a break, I'll give you a better, more impressive listing later on. And by the way, you all, thank you for your comments and your questions. You're giving me something to talk about. It's never easy to just sit and talk by yourself for several hours. So the more information you can give me or the more questions you can ask, the better. Looking to cut this away down the leg side, down the offside, not making any contact. And I believe just one ball now remaining in this, the 11th over. The score is 46 for 2. So at the current rate of 4.25, you will end up, if you're Seattle, at 85 runs. You want way more runs than that. My sense is that you're going to need at least 100 more runs than that to seriously challenge the Kingsmen X. After this delivery, I'll go down the roster for the Kingsmen X to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Outside off, and it's going to run away for 5 wides. Oh, bonus runs. You'll absolutely take these bonus runs if you are the Seattle Thunderbolts. Too far outside the line of off stump. And keeper Umer Siddiqui not able to collect it cleanly. Here you see very far outside. And in fact, it would have passed almost outside the outside line of the return crease. And then Umar Siddiqui not able to control it, and it flies away for 5 wides. Absolute bonus runs that Seattle needs more than anything else. They'll score runs and accept runs any way that you can get them. So still one legal delivery remaining. Jaskar and Singh Butts are at the top of his lineup. Lofted in the air, will land short of that fielder, Ehsan Adil, out at the boundary. And that is the end of the over. Just a single to close things out in the 11th. After 11, 12 runs from the over. That actually is the most productive over of the inning so far. And I would say 52 for 2 is the score. Make that 51. No, 52 for 2 is the score at the end of 11. So a couple more questions. Cameron, this is a great tournament to see a lot of the domestic players who will be playing in the major leagues as well. Yes, you're absolutely right. Shane Jayasuriya, from the top of my memory banks here, Ehsan Adil have both been drafted, just in terms of who's playing in this match. And then certainly several other players from this morning's match with the Samp Army, Andreas Haus, and a number of other players who played in this morning's match would have also been drafted into the major leagues. So you'll certainly see a lot of them play in the majors, and then you'll see minor league cricket after the major league cricket season ends at the end of July. This is Fawad Alam again. Skyer, simple catch by fine leg, and he takes it. Makes it a little bit more difficult than it needed to have been. It was in the air for long enough, and he ended up falling backward, but took it. A pretty simple catch in the end that maybe made it a little bit difficult. Had it judged and then fell backwards, but did the most difficult part, which is hold on to it. And that is the end of a painstaking innings by Shaswat Kohli. Ends up going for, in fact, that might have been Haider Raja. Well, we'll confirm that as soon as we can. But in the end, a third wicket goes down. And after one delivery in the third over, in the 12th over rather, the score is 52 for 3. Okay, so after a brief break, the new batter we believe is Rishi Bhardwaj. And 3 deliveries into this, the 12th over. The score has ticked on to 53 for 3. This is the third over being bowled by Fawad Alam. His figures so far 2.3, 1 maiden, and 1 for 4. Left arm around the wicket, and that is played down to deep mid wicket for just a single. So 2 deliveries remaining in this, the 12th over. A couple more comments. What's your early prediction for the winner of the tournament? That is a really difficult question to answer. But I can tell you I'd have a hard time picking against Samp Army, who we saw this morning. And by the way, in this match, where we're seeing the Kingsmen X, it's also a very talented lineup. I mentioned the people who are the batters to come in the second innings. You have Nkrumah Bonner, West Indies number 3, longtime batter at number 3 for the West Indies in tests, is also a very good limited overs player. Shehan Jayasuriya, who is one of the leading batters in the minor leagues from the last couple of seasons. Tajinder Singh, who is an absolutely brutal striker of the ball. To say nothing of Jaskaran Singh Bhattar, who is a decent all-rounder. And I've said all those names without even getting to Fawad Alam. So a good bowling side, but I think almost as impressive a batting side. So if you ask me, just based on the ones that I've seen today, and my apologies for not having been made fully aware of all the teams playing in the tournament, but just from the ones that I've seen today on paper and in person, I think those 2 are 2 teams to look out for. In the meantime, that is the end of the 12th. At the end of 12, the score is 55 for 3. And now the 13th over being started, and the bowling is, figure out who this bowler is. This is back cut towards short third, and that's going to be a single. Bowler is Akarshit Gomel. Thank you. He's an off spinner bowling over the wicket into the 2 right-handers. And your batters are Haider Raja, 19 from 31 with 2 fours. And Rishi Bhardwaj just came to the wicket a handful of overs, a handful of deliveries ago. He's faced 3 balls and only scored 1, and that's all he'll face because he went back. He committed the sin, cardinal sin, of going back to a full ball, and he gets castled. Absolutely not the way you want to play that type of delivery. Going back to a ball that, had he gone forward, he would have easily gotten to the pitch. Here we see the replay from around the wicket, slanting in, going back and exposing all 3 stumps. My apologies, earlier I said he was a right-hander. He's actually a left-hander bowling around the wicket. And he went back, Rishi Bardwaj, and with that ball spinning away from you, the last thing that you want to do is expose all 3 of your stumps. He went back and exposed his stumps, and Akarshit Gomel was only too happy to knock those stumps back. So the 4th wicket goes down, and Seattle slips further and further into the mire. So after 12.4 overs, we have 44 balls remaining in this innings. Seattle has lost 4 wickets, and they're only 57 runs on the board. At this rate, they project to a score of 90, and they're not going to get anything close to a competitive score unless somebody grabs the bull by the horns and starts doing something. But this is now Jagrup Raina. He's at the crease after 4 of his top order batters have already disappeared. He is going to be asked to pull his team out of the mire. He's a left-handed batter, and you see good aggressive captaincy here by the Kingsmen or Kingsmen X, because there's now a slip in position looking to take wickets. This is stroked down the ground immediately off the mark is Jagrup Raina. And now with 1 ball remaining in this, the 13th over, there is a struggle to get runs going. The overall run rate is 4.52, if you can believe it. 4.52 doesn't not mean that you're going to do a whole lot, but it does mean that if you have the opportunity to score, you have to take advantage of it. And that is a dot ball to close things out. 3 runs and a wicket in the 13th over. Trouble building here for Seattle, 58 for 4. .58 for 4, and we called his name earlier, Shehenjai Surya, former Sri Lankan player, plays in the minor league system for a team in California. All of a sudden forgot their name. Old age, my apologies. But Shehenjai Surya, right-handed off spinner and left-handed opening batter, a top order batter. This is played off the back foot by Jagrup Raina. They should get 2 here if they run hard. Coming back for that second. That is Nkrumah Bonner down there at the boundary, but not able to prevent 2 runs. So you need all of these doubles as you can if you're Seattle. And you'll need to do whatever you can to manufacture some runs. Runs are going to be really hard to come by. And the bowlers have bowled really well. Oh, going back, looking to play that off the back foot was Jagrup Raina. Not able to make any contact. It's a good delivery by Shehenjai Surya. Bowling around the wicket to the left-handed Jagrup Raina. Oh, good delivery. Sails past the outside edge. Had him reaching for it, not able to make contact. And that slip fielder is there for that exact eventuality. Anything that kisses off the edge will be hopefully snapped up by that fielder. At least that will be the thinking. Goes off the back foot this time and pulls it in the deep. This is Ehsan Adil. Nope, sorry, that is Ziaul Haq coming around from deep backward square. There's a single. And so 3 runs from 4 balls, 2 balls remaining in this, the 14th over. And again, you're only at 60. Oh, thank you, Cameron. Silicon Valley strikers, you saved me. Driven down the ground to long on. Cameron, I'm a much older man than you'd probably think, and so I struggle with those. Every once in a while, the memory goes. So my apologies, but thank you for saving me. And Sai Shankar says, waiting for Mahidar Mulapuri to come into action. We played for the same club in Seattle. Well, apparently you need to be down here instead of in Seattle. This is slapped in our direction here, and it goes for 4. Ends up being, a few feet to my immediate left. And welcome boundary here, scored by Jagrup Raina. You'll absolutely take all of these runs as if you can get them. Painstakingly now the score ticks up to 65 for 4. And that overall run rate at 4.7. That should be, in fact, that is the end of the over. So at the end of 14, score is 66 for 4. 66 for 4. New bowler coming from the Forest end. New ball is going to be Asif Mahmood. Bowled 1 over, which I thought was very impressive. Looked very good from the highway end earlier in the day. Now coming back for his 2nd over. First over that he bowled went for 4 runs. I thought was a very impressive over. Concedes a single from this, the first ball of his over, 2nd over. That's going to be adjudged wide. I think it's adjudged wide on the line. It bounced a decent amount of bounce, but looking at the replay, it looks as though that ball was too far outside the line of off stump for the liking of the umpire. Umpire Rakesh Jain operating from the Forest end. Currently standing at square leg is Owen Brown, the umpire operating from the highway end. Oh, full toss. That's going to be no ball. Catch is going to be taken, but that won't matter because that was a full toss above waist height. Immediately signal no ball by umpire Owen Brown. So we've seen a couple of different no balls today. Of course, there are a number of ways that you can have a no ball. The most common way of seeing a no ball is overstepping that front crease. But today you have seen a couple that you don't normally see. One, high full toss, you'll see that every once in a while. This morning in the Samp Army match, you saw a no ball from too many fielders outside the circle. But here's a free hit delivery. Slower bouncer, and it's lofted down the ground. Catch will be taken. Throw coming into the non-strikers, and almost as though they forgot that you could not be out off of that shot because they actually stopped running at that point, as if they did not remember that you could sprint and try to double up. Even if the catch is taken, it's not going to be a dismissal. So a long way of saying that that no ball only cost them 1 additional run. And that's a good ball into the body of Jagrup Raina, looking to pull that away down the leg side and missing out. So a lot of action in this over all of a sudden. Score ticking up to 71 for 4. Just 2 legal deliveries bowled. Make that 3 legal deliveries bowled so far. And this is now played down to deep fine leg. Should just be a single. And so, not that we're going hell for leather, but the scoring rate has picked up in the last several balls. And this is now Haider Raja, 24 from 37 with 2 fours, facing up to Asif Mahmood. Good ball, sailing through, appeal for a catch, and not given. Boy, I will have to say that was a very confident appeal by the wicket keeper. That is Umer Siddiqui. And he was immediately appealing, but umpire Rakesh Jain not convinced that that was a wicket or that was an edge. Just having looked at this replay, can't see anything from that angle, and certainly nothing like a hot spot or anything like that, so it's hard to tell. Boy, look at that delivery. That sailed through at pace. Absolutely sailing through at pace and taken above Umar Siddiqui's head. That was a great delivery to close things out in the 15th over. So at the end of 15, the score is 73 for 4. Seven to 3 for 4. We have the last 5 overs coming up. Shahan Jayasuriya to continue bowling from the highway end. Bowling to Jagrup Raina. Jagrup going back onto the back foot and defending this one into the offside for no run. Shahan Jayasuriya, first over, went for 8 runs. Starts out with the dot ball here, and this is second over. Quick single. Whoa, taking a little bit of time. He was late taking off Haider Raja, but Jagrup Ryan was always committed to sprinting through for that single, and eventually responded to by Haider Raja. Raja now goes up to 24 from 38. Shahan Jayasuriya now switches the ball over the wicket to the right-hander. Played off the back foot. This is fielded by Ziaul Haq in the covers, and they run through for a single. They're going to need more than singles. We only have another 27 balls to go through this innings. Couple of comments. Lokes already. I know I'm not pronouncing your name properly. Says all the fireworks are wet, and that was in response to a comment from Prashant saying he's expecting some fireworks in the next 5 overs. Very honestly, they need way more than that. And just with 2 balls remaining in this, make that 3 balls remaining in this, the 16th. 76 for 4 is just not going to be good enough, I don't think. Lofted down the ground, catchable, and straight to Ehsan Adil. More trouble here for Seattle, as this is Haider Raja, who was trying to hit himself and his team into a good position, but only ends up picking out Ehsan Adil down here at long off. It sails directly to him, and the big fast bowler pouches it about chest high about 3 yards in from the boundary. So the 5th wicket goes down. 5 down, and Haider Raja, after fighting and battling for a while, ends up scoring 26 from 40 with 2 fours, and half of the side is back in the hutch. Seattle is in trouble. So one of the more exciting young batters in, or really young all-rounders in USA local cricket is now at the wicket. Matthew Trump, a young man from South Africa, lives these days in Austin, Texas. And he is now coming in. The last delivery of Shehan Jayasuriya's second over is defended by Matthew Trump for no run. So 3 runs come from that over, which also includes the wicket of the person who was well set, Haider Raja. Seattle now struggling at 76 for 5. Back to live action. And I'll tell you what, Asif Mahmood has found something in the middle of this pitch that he absolutely likes. Testing out the middle for the last several deliveries. Now bowling to Jagrup Raina. And this is a better delivery. Played in front of mid-wicket. Oh, Matthew Trump a little bit late taking off there, but eventually gets to the other end without much trouble. Now, it is going to be up to Matthew Trump as he looks to do something to put some runs on the board. Overall score is now 75 for 5. Make that 75 for 5. 76 for 5. Next delivery in the air, played by Trump in the area of deep mid-wicket, and they'll be able to get 2. That's Zia-ul Haq running around from wide long on. Get 2 runs. Matthew Trump off the mark with that shot. And now here's Asif Mahmood again. And this is clipped down to square leg this time. And this should be 2 more. Oh my goodness. Oh no. Absolutely did not need to have that happen. Matthew Trump always wanted to. Touched down and took off for the second run. Made it a quarter of the way down the pitch before Jagrup Raina sent him back. And by then it was too late. The throw came into the non-striker's end and found Matthew Trump halfway down the pitch looking at his partner. So of all the things that you needed to have happen, the one thing that you did not want to have happen was a run out. But that's unfortunately what happened there. Matthew Trump, I mentioned, one of the more exciting young all-rounders in our local cricket. But he has to go back to the pavilion after having been dismissed. We'll get the exact score in a second. It is 79 for 6. And 79 for 6 with 2 balls remaining here in the 17th innings, 17th over rather. Going back to a comment that was made earlier, Sandeep, I'll get to your question in a second, as that zips past the outside edge, a big drive by Jagrup Raina and missing out. New batter is Mahidar Mulapudi. You've gotten your wish, Sai Shankar. Your former teammate is now on the big stage, and it's up to him. He has a handful of deliveries. In fact, another 19 balls left in this innings. Slower delivery and played into the offside. They go through for a quick single, and that single ends things here in the 17th inning. 17th over, my apologies. So at the end of, nope, still one more. Apologies, one ball. 80 for 6 with one ball remaining here in the 17th. So, Sandeep, why are all the big tournaments in T20 format while USA plays 50 overs to qualify for Cricket World Cup 23? Do you think there should be tournaments in all formats? I'll answer that after this ball. Good delivery. Oh, he's giving him. Pitching it full and straight. Really, Mulapudi looking to play that one to mid-wicket when he should have been playing it in the V. And looking at that, in fact, looking at the replay, he was looking to play that to square leg. Look at this replay coming up now. He's looking to play this square of the wicket, gets himself into a tangle. There, front foot goes all the way across, looking to work it actually behind square. So that ball should be going right back down between long on, mid on, and mid off. He commits the cardinal sin of playing across that pretty straight delivery. And unfortunately for Mulapudi and for Sai Shankar, he is dismissed without opening his account. So that is the end of the over, the end of the day with the bat for Mulapudi. And the Seattle Thunderbolts are 80 for 7 after 17. So real quickly, before we go any further, I'll answer your question, Sandeep. We're basically talking about two different formats here. I don't think you're going to have much luck in trying to get a group of players to come together and play a 50-over tournament. First of all, the logistics of putting on a 50-over tournament would be very tricky, would be very difficult. So we're talking about a franchise-based tournament where you have, winning money going to the winning side. There's sponsors. That type of activity takes place on the franchise scene. It doesn't necessarily translate to any longer form of cricket. So the USA Cricket, under that umbrella, you certainly have 50-over tournaments. You have U19 tournaments, and certainly you have senior tournaments, and that happens later in the year. But you're not going to have a franchise-based tournament based on a 50-over format. I just don't think that that's realistic. But there's different appetites for both. I love a Snickers bar, and I also love a 5-course meal. So you can actually like both formats at the same time. So I like this format for the excitement that it generates. I think T20 is the more, let's call it, commercialized or commercializable format of the game in this country. But there's also a place for the 50-over tournaments, and so there's room for both. That's my answer. Anyway, Asanadil changing ends, now bowling from the highway end. This ball is outside the line of off stump. And this may be a warning by umpire Esanadil. I think Esanadil is running into the danger area, which you cannot do as a bowler. Esanadil, obviously somebody who's played professional cricket for Pakistan, would know that. And that angle bowling around the wicket, slanting in, he will know that he needs to run off of the pitch, because you cannot end up with from your follow through right down the middle of the pitch. First, you'll be impeding the vision of the umpire. And secondly, your spikes will be digging into the pitch at the point where the batter from the other end would have trouble. So you certainly cannot do that. Next delivery. Switches to go over the wicket. That's a full toss. Not quite. Oh, a direct hit. Look at this. What is the call? They run through for a second run. Not given as a wicket. So these runs will both count. That is a direct hit, and umpire Rakesh Jain, standing at square leg, had a good view of it. So if he says it's not out, then we have to take him at his word. Here we see the replay. Quick pickup and a throw. That's a brilliant pickup and throw. And here is the replay. That bat, he was a little lazy sliding that bat in, but luckily I think he may have just gotten the bat down, Prajit Moody. So he's going to be lucky because that very well could have been a run out. It's on a deal again. Looking for the big drive and missing out there. It's on a deal. Another warning. That is an official warning by umpire Owen Brown. And umpire Owen Brown warned him unofficially the first time. This time, I think he has warned him officially. And apologies, we may have just lost power. Yeah. It's on the deal to continue. And he bowled him. Absolute full and straight. And it's a no ball. Is it a no ball? No, not a no ball. Just for a split second, I thought umpire Owen Brown was signaling. But in fact, he was only signaling to his partner that there are 2 balls left. Full and straight by a Senadil and knocking back the off stump of Jagrup Raina. So very full, bang on target with that delivery. And that is going to be something that you want to pay attention to. Looking at the replay here, by the way, apologies if you can't follow everything we're saying. Parts of our operation have just lost power, but we'll just keep going as long as we can. But Esanadil, slanting in from around the wicket. And that's what you want to see. Not only is it the fact that he's gotten that delivery the way that he wants it, but he also, on his follow-through, goes down parallel to the danger area as opposed to running on it. So you're absolutely happy with that. If you are Esanadil, don't want to run afoul of umpire Owen Brown again. But anyway, the 8th wicket is down. 82 now for 8. And only 2 balls remaining in this, the 18th over. And the new batter in is Sanjay Nihal. Sanjay Nihal, and all of a sudden, Seattle Thunderbolts are in danger of not batting through the entire innings. BRC Crick Ump is telling me that OB's signaling 2 left. Yes, full toss. It's going to be close to being a no ball, not given. A lot of full tosses have taken place already, and it appears as though it might have been close, but I think you're okay. Anyway, so 1 ball remaining now in the 18th over. The score is 83 for 8. And I have a comment to be relayed by a very interested onlooker, and I'll get to that as soon as this delivery is finished. This might be a situation where there is a string on the ball that needs to be cut off. In the meantime, let's get to this comment. Terrible intensity by the Seattle team. They left so many runs out there. It is very hot, but you have to show up with intensity at every game, especially for a team like the Kingsmen. And that comment is by the father of one of, make that 2 of the more exciting young cricketers in our local cricket. That is Brett Trump, the father of both Matthew and Joshua Trump. Brett, I have to say I agree with you. The intensity seems to be lacking. And if you're going to be going up against a team that is as well balanced and as loaded as the Kingsmen X, you sort of have to commit to getting any runs that you can in any way that you can. You have to manufacture runs if you need to. You don't necessarily have to do scoop shots, don't necessarily have to try anything crazy. But Brett, back to your son's dismissal. I think if you're aggressive there and commit to 2 runs immediately from the time the ball comes off the bat, I think that's an easy 2. I think if you jog halfway and then be hesitant about coming back for the second, that intensity by one player and then the lack of intensity by the other player will result in somebody being run out. So I absolutely take your point, and I'm not surprised that that has happened. Not a whole lot of activity around right now, a bit of a break, but more than anything else, the longer we stay here, then the hotter it gets and the more things get miserable for Seattle. So something tells me that we're going to have to get this game going sooner or later. Not exactly sure what the purpose is for the delay. But until we get that figured out, let's take a short break. In fact, they're going off right now, so we may be ready to continue. In the meantime, just to recap where we are, Seattle 83 for 8, 17.5. High score for the day for Seattle is Haider Raja with 25 from 41. Second highest score is Jagrup Raina, 15 from 18. And Shaswat Kohli is the only other player who has joined those two in double figures. He scored 10. The other scores, unfortunately, read in very binary fashion: 7, 2, 2, 3, 0, 0, and 1. And Ehsan Adil at the top of his mark, about to bowl his last delivery of the day. 3.5 overs, 2 for 18. Here he is, bowling to Prajit Moody. Full and straight clip behind square that will run close to the boundary. They'll get 2. That's all they'll get. Good strong throw. In fact, over the keeper's head. Well backed up in the end. And that is the end of the over. So after 18, the score is 85 for 8. So the last 2 overs to be bowled. Asif Mahmood, 3 overs, 1 for 16, has the ball in hand at the top of his mark, bowling from the forest end. And he will be bowling to Sanjay Nihal. Sanjay Nihal faced 1 ball, scored 1 run. First delivery, slower delivery, and going to concede a run. Let's see whether or not that's a leg by. Yep, given his leg by umpire Rakesh Jain. So I think Asif Mahmood has bowled very aggressively, made good use of the short ball, and generally has been hard to score off of. 3.1 overs, 1 for 16 are his figures. Sprayed down the leg side this time for another wide. Score ticking along now to 87. You're at 87 runs and you're in the 19th over. Just another 11 legal deliveries left. So at this stage you may struggle to get to 100. Looking for a single, they will get that easily. That's well played and well run. So that alone, just that little bit of cricket where you just drop the ball and run, that's the element that, Brett, I think you were talking about, where that type of approach was really eschewed and not really capitalized on earlier in this innings. And you've left too much for your number 10 and number 11 to be doing or to be charged with doing. Next delivery, advancing down the wicket. That takes some guts because Asif Mahmood has proven to be one of the quicker bowlers that you'll see in this match. As quick as Ehsan Adil. And if you run at a fast bowler, you can generally expect that the next ball is going to be somewhere close to your face. But anyway, so 88 for 8 after 3 deliveries. Wow. Just losing control of that ball right before he delivered it, luckily for him. Every once in a while you'll see the bowler have his hand smash into the stumps at the non-strikers, and that used to be a dead ball. These days that's a no ball. But more to the point, as a bowler, it absolutely hurts. I don't know if you've ever done that while bowling. Particularly if you're a pace bowler, it can be a tremendously painful event. Next ball, slapping it over the top of backward point for 4. Welcome runs here, needed runs by Sanjay Nihal. He's able to cash in on that delivery. A little bit wide outside off stump. Gave him just about the width that he needed to open his arms up and slap that away over the top of backward point for the first boundary in a really long time. The last 5 overs have yielded 26 runs. That's really not very many runs at all. You need to be going at a much faster rate than that. But you'll take all the runs you can get at this stage. And this is outside the line of off stump. 1 ball remaining here in the day for the aggressive Asif Mahmood. So the last ball to be bowled for him. His figures so far, 3 overs, 1 for 22. So his economy rate is just a touch under 6, but I think he's been extremely impressive. Next ball, advancing down the track again and missing. And there's that short ball I was expecting. Good sharp delivery to end the over. 7 runs coming from it. Last 6 overs or last 6 balls coming up. 92 for 8. $92 for 8, and James Auld, I absolutely need more questions like the one that you just asked. I'll ask the question first and I'll try to answer it. James Auld, new cricket fan here. Could you explain while you commentate some of the terms / jargon, please? Onside, offside, mid-wicket, no ball, etc. Still learning. Well, you asked several questions. Maybe I'll take some time, maybe before the next inning starts, to go through some of these. I'll take some time. But James, the best way to sort of give you an idea of what I'm talking about is to relate it to baseball. So I'll try to use baseball terms as much as possible. This is lofted in the air down to deep mid-wicket. Simple catch taken by Shehan Jayasuriya, and that is the 9th wicket to go down. A simple catch taken, very easy, and somebody of Shehan Jayasuriya's stature is not going to drop that. So the 9th wicket is down. And James, let's hopefully give you some, or I can take some time to explain a little bit of what we're talking about. You asked, what is a no ball? A no ball is an illegal delivery. There can be several no balls. A no ball is either A, if you overstep the front foot, there is a crease that is at the non-striker's end. If you overstep that crease when you're bowling, that's a no ball. In other words, if you think of a long jumper who steps over that little mark on the ground before they take off, if you overstep that, it's a no ball. Another no ball would be if you bowl a full toss. In other words, the ball doesn't bounce before it gets to the batter and it gets to him at waist height or above. That's an illegal delivery, and that's a no ball. And I'll get back to that shortly as the new batter is in. The new batter is going to be facing here and playing off the back foot to short third. Ooh, taking off late, but he's able to get the run there that you're looking for. James, is going to be hard to work this in, but I'm trying as much as I can. several different types of no balls. Maybe another time I'll go through all the different types of no balls. This is lofted down the ground. It's going to be 4, is it? Yep, goes for 4 right here in front of us. That gives us a few seconds. So James, the idea or the most important thing to know about no balls is that for the most part you cannot be dismissed off of a no ball. So even if you're out, if you're given out, if the ball is a no ball, with a handful of exceptions, you cannot be dismissed. And more to the point, after a no ball, the next delivery after a no ball is a free hit. A free hit meaning that you have an opportunity to swing for the fences because, with few exceptions, again, you cannot be dismissed off of a free hit. And so, and I see BRC Crick Ump also adding to the commentary. So BRC, if you and I can double team and answer some of James's questions, I'd be more than happy to. So we'll get to some of those in a second. Fawad Alam, this is played off the back foot towards, this is Esan Adil coming in off the covers and throwing a good strong throw to the keeper's end. And they get another couple of runs. So back to you, James. If you think of a baseball player, let's say you're batting in baseball, if you draw a line from home plate to second base, in fact, home plate to center field, everything to the left of that line is, in baseball terms, it would be a pull. In other words, if you hit to the left field as a right-hander, that's a pull. In cricket, that's considered your leg side. Everything to the right of a line that goes from home plate to center field, if you're a right-hander, if you hit from center field to right field, that is that's an opposite field hit for baseball. In cricket, that's known as the offside. That's the difference between the leg side and the offside. And so we'll get back to that in a minute, because let's just touch base where we are with this match. With the last delivery, Seattle actually gets to the 100-run mark. That is 100. They lost 9 wickets. I think they're going to be about 100 runs short, but that's why you play this game. They say sometimes cricket is a game of glorious uncertainties. So more than anything else, you're going to want to make sure that you put in your best effort to be able to get the runs that you need to get. So 100 for 9 is what Seattle ends up with. There you see the score card. Doesn't make very good reading. Haider Raj at 25 from 41. Jagrup Ryan at 15 from 18. And Shaswat Kohli 10 from 20. Those are the 3 players who scored in double figures. And pretty sorry reading all the rest of the way down, with 20 extras, 20 being the second highest score in the entire innings. So the Kingsmen X have a relatively straightforward job of scoring 101 runs to win. For the bowlers, they all did well. Esan Adil, 4 overs, 2 for 20, and Fawad Alam, 4 overs, 2 for 14 are your best bowlers there. Everyone else chips in with good economic tight bowling. And what that translates to is that you're going to need 101 runs for victory if you are the Kingsmen X. So we're going to have a short break, take a quick break, and we'll be back in about 10 minutes. We'll not only describe the action the way that it happens, but we'll also, James, try to answer as many of your questions as possible. So, James, I'm absolutely inviting everyone else who wants to make a comment or ask a question to do so. But, James, my priority is going to be answering as many of your questions as possible. So, please, feel free to drop as many as you can into the chat, and we'll go from there. In the meantime, let's take a quick break. We'll be back in about 10 minutes for the resumption of this match. Kingsmen coming up to bat. We'll talk soon. Where's that? Hold on, okay. for the end of what so far has been a relatively one-sided match. The Seattle Thunderbolts have decided to bat first after winning the toss. And when you choose to win the toss on a good pitch, I think you're going to be looking for more than the 100 runs that Seattle was able to score. And so you expect that a good batting side like the Kingsmen X should be able to overhaul this total without much of a fuss. But as I said, that's why you play the games. These games are never easy. And all you need if you're Seattle is 10 good balls. And that will be the end of the match. Of course, it will take a lot more than that. And what you're also going to need to have happen is that you try in some ways to build a little bit of pressure. When you build that pressure, sometimes that creates wickets, and you build pressure by bowling dot balls. And James, for you, a dot ball is a ball that you do not score off of. And the more you build the pressure, the more that creates the environment where people can get antsy and get wickets. But what you don't want to have happen is that you end up bowling some loose deliveries and they all get crashed down the ground for 4 or worse. So once again, we're looking to have the beginning of the match here, or the beginning, a resumption of the match, the beginning of the innings for the Kingsmen 11. And just waiting to get all the principals in time. Our scoreboard is a little bit lagging, but we'll get that information. In fact, the 2 batters are going to be Khurram Manzoor and Umar Khan. Khurram Manzoor and Umar Khan. Khurram Manzoor. The bowler coming from the forest end is going to be identified as soon as we have a number. On my sheet here, I don't have a number 14. So, Mahedar Mulapudi. Okay, so Mr. Sai Shankar, hopefully your former teammate, since he didn't do much with the bat, can make up for it with the ball. And I'll tell you, it's going to be something that is needed. So your 2 batters are going to be Khurram Manzoor, and Umar Khan, and Mulapudi with the new ball in his hand. Umpire Rakesh Jain says, "Let's play," and we're off and running. First delivery, walking down, looking very aggressive to start with. Interesting. Khurram Manzoor wanting to get things over with, it looks like. Immediately looking to put pressure on the bowler. And sometimes when you chase these below par scores, you can sort of go into a shell knowing that you don't have to be aggressive all the way through. But it looks like Khurram Manzoor has other ideas. Very full, and this is clipped to short mid-wicket for no run. James, short mid-wicket would be like hitting a ball down the 3rd base line, about halfway down the line. And that might not be the best analogy, but it's as close as you get in thinking in baseball terms. So you all will forgive me. I'll be commentating to all of you, but also commentating specifically to James. Next delivery. Very full, clip to backward square leg. That is Matthew Trump down there on the boundary. And that's the first run of the day for the Kingsmen X. Kingsmen are going to be looking to take advantage of hopefully what should be a pretty straightforward power play. And back to you, James. The power play is the first 6 overs of the innings, the first 36 legal deliveries. The significance of that power play is within the first 6 overs, you can only have 2 fielders outside of a 30-yard circle that goes around the middle of the pitch. Full toss, played off the back foot. Watch for the umpire. It runs away for 4. No call given by umpire Owen Brown, so he's lucky to have gotten away with that. Played very well off the back foot, and it certainly goes away for 4, but he was almost in danger there of having that adjudged as a a no ball. And I spoke earlier about a no ball, James, several different types of no balls. A no ball in this instance would have been a ball that is too full, that goes past the waist height of the batter. Now this next ball is punched down the ground, beautiful looking cricket shot for 4 more. So consecutive boundaries here by Umer Khan. He's often racing. Umer Khan already with 2 boundaries, faced 2 balls and scored 8 runs, so he's scoring at the rate of 400. And with 1 ball remaining here in the first over, the Kingsmen X are already almost 1/10 of the way to victory. So continuing at the same rate, they will overhaul the total probably by the 10th over. So the one thing that you don't want to do if you are Seattle is to give up easy runs, because you want to at least try to build some pressure, but you're not building any pressure when you're giving up runs. And that's well played, defended into the backward point area. No run. That's the end of the over. At the end of 1, the score is 9 without loss. Nine without loss in the first over. If you were scoring this as a boxing match, that first round certainly goes to the Kingsmen. Scored 9 runs and not lost any wickets. This is going to be Matthew Trump, who we spoke about earlier. Bowling from the highway end, looking to do his part to sort of build some pressure. Because if you're not building pressure, then it just becomes a formality of how long this match is going to take to end. And Matthew Trump looking to pull things back here. Big drive attempted, and it squeezes through the offside. Will run away down the hill for 4. So certainly a little bit too wide that time from Matt Trump, and offering the width to the batter, who throws his bat at that ball, Kura Manzoor, and he immediately gets 4 runs. So immediately on the back foot this time are the Seattle Thunderbolts. Matthew Trump straining, looking for that wicket-taking ball, but getting it just a little too wide, and it runs away down the hill for 4. So you see a change in the field now. There's a sweeper out in the deep on the offside, right where that ball went, looking to run that down behind point, and looking to just open the face and run it off the edge of the bat. That's probably not a bad idea. You have a slip fielder, then you have a fielder at backward point, but nobody in the deep, nobody at deep third. So if you manage to squirt that ball between those 2 fielders, then it's always going to be 4 runs. But also, if you manage to get a faint edge, that's a good way to get caught behind, so you have to be careful. So, in fact, Matt Trump now making the change and moving that fielder, dropping him back, not to a regulation deep third, but to a very wide, almost like a wide, deep backward point. And so the 2 fielders are outside or at deep cover and deep backward point. So you expect a deep, or you expect a line outside the line of off stump. And Matthew Trump thinking about ways that he can manufacture a wicket here. And he has to be thinking in 2 mindsets, 2 different mindsets. One is going to be, how do I take a wicket? The other is going to be, how do I stop runs from being scored? So I certainly don't mind seeing you try something if you're Matt Trump. You absolutely have to try something to get through this opening pair. And there's that ball now run down to that fielder, deep backward point for a single. And that now will bring the left-handed Umer Khan on strike. Umer Khan 8 from 3 so far. Matthew Trump bowling to the left-hander. His figures so far Conceded 5 runs from those 4 balls faced. Just a little bit of a delay while we get the fielder right. So once again, given that you can only have 2 fielders outside the line, or outside of the circle, a little bit of change in where those fielders are. This is off the back foot, played to backward point. The 2 fielders outside the circle for the left-hander are in a more traditional position that you'd expect for an opening fast bowler. There's a man at deep third and a man at deep fine leg. So those 2 fielders in those positions imply that Matthew Trump is going to be bowling a shorter length, and I suspect that he'll be bowling from around the wicket about an off-stump line. Lofted in the air, that's going to be over the top of mid-on and going to run close to the boundary. Pulled back in time, they'll jog the second. So with 2 fielders outside in the deep behind the wicket, Matthew Trump, I think, getting that one just a touch too full, and it's easily lofted down the ground for a couple. So that is the end of the over, and some 7 runs come from that over. Scoring is at the rate of 8 runs and over. You started this inning only needing to score at the rate of just under 5, and so you're off and running already if you're the Kingsmen. 16 without loss. Amir Khan have another name. I don't have Amir Khan on this list.
Amir Siddiqui.
Oh, he's a keeper?
Yeah.
So Siddiqui, okay, got it.
They just entered in the score card his middle name or something.
Okay, got it. Siddiqui is his middle name or Khan is his middle name?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
That's what the manager told me.
Got it, got it.
27.
Okay.
Rahul Nama.
Okay. 2 overs bowled, 16 runs on the board. The batters are Umar Khan, 10 from 5, and Kura Manzoor, 6 from 7. And change in the bowling immediately, as this is going to be Rahul Nama. Rahul Nama is a spin bowler. And this is blasted through the offside because it's going to run away for 4. So I mentioned that no pressure is being built at all. And looking at the replay here, as some refreshments are brought to us here at the table, which we absolutely enjoy. Left-handed spinner Rahul Nama getting that one too wide, and it is played away off the back foot for yet another boundary. Next delivery, oh, looking to sweep. Kind of premeditated that shot, and that ball bouncing a little bit over the bat of Kura Manzoor. He wants to get this over with quickly, it appears. And boy, nothing like a good aggressive batter, but if you're not doing it in such a way that makes you sort of understand where the ball is going, then you can be a liability to yourself. In the meantime, just another 81 runs needed from 105 balls. So you're also looking at a situation where if you're wanting to think in terms of net run rate, and this is a concept that will probably, don't know whether or not it will make a big difference for this team later on in the season or in the tournament, but if you get these runs relatively quickly, that you jump up on your net run rate, and that certainly allows you in the situation where you have a tied, if you're tied in the standings with another side, that certainly will help your chances. So we can talk more about that. James, that's more sort of graduate level cricket talk. We don't need to go into all that detail just now for you, but As it stands in this game, the score is 20 without loss after 3. And the Kingsmen 11, or Kingsmen X, are off and running. So 20 without loss after 3. Another question. Scoop wants to know, how does the scoring work? Scoop, it's one of the easier questions that we will have answered today. You score in the following ways. If the ball is hit along the ground and it crosses the white rope that goes all around the field, once it crosses that rope, you get 4 runs automatically. You don't need to run. If you hit the ball and it goes over the rope like a home run in baseball, you get 6 runs for that. You don't need to run. You automatically get those runs. You don't need to run. If the ball is hit any other direction, hit any other place, and I'll say more after this. If it goes any other place, you can score runs by the 2 batters who are there at the same time exchanging position. So in other words, the striker runs to the non-striker's end, the non-striker runs to the striker's end. This ball is lofted in the air. It will land safely, actually. It will get a couple of runs, and in fact, it goes all the way for 4. So right on cue, Scoop. Right on cue, that ball went and crossed all the way, bounced a few times, and then went over the rope. You automatically get 4 runs for that. And if you will see the umpires wave one arm back and forth horizontally, that indicates that that's 4 runs. If it goes for 6, you'll see the umpire raise both hands like in NFL football or in American football. If they score signaling a touchdown, that's the same signal in cricket for a 6. But everything else you have to run for. That is a lovely shot. That's going to be 4 more runs. Cut away behind point and blasted. That's a really good looking shot. And you asked the question at the exact right time, Scoop, because these runs are flowing so quickly that I may not have time to get to all of the answers. These runs are going to be scored. You only need 100 runs to win. And needless to say, you can score 100 runs very quickly when the team is scoring in 4s and 6s. But to finish my answer, everything else that does not go for a 4 or a 6, you can run for. And the way you score runs, you can run back and forth between the 2 sets of stumps. The 2 batters, once they exchange positions, that's 1 run. And you can run back and forth as many times as is safe to do so. So, for example, in baseball, if you hit the ball straight to shortstop, you have to run. And usually you get thrown out by maybe 10 feet. In cricket, you only run if you think you can make it to the other end. So to continue my analogy, if you hit the ball to mid-wicket, which is like shortstop in baseball, and the fielder is right there and you don't think you can make it to the other end in time, you don't run. But if you hit the ball into the outfield and you can run back and forth as many times as possible, 3, 4, 5 runs, you absolutely get the chance to do that. And that you don't need to run for. That is blasted over the top of extra cover for 4. So this game, I'm afraid, is going to be finished very quickly because all of a sudden, these 2 are acting like they have a plane to catch. The score is now 33 with 1 ball to go. I think we may just be at the end of the innings, or the end of the over, rather. And I'll confirm that shortly. But by my unofficial count, the score is 33 without loss. Only another 68 runs needed. And in fact, it's 33 with 1 ball to go. So we're going to still have another ball in this over. And by the way, for you cricket neophytes, an over is 6 balls in a row bowled by 1 bowler. So 6 balls in a row constitutes 1 over. So a 20 over match, which is what these are 120 balls. Off the back foot, plays off of the foot of the fielder in the covers, but doesn't ricochet far enough away, so he gets away with not having to run. Still an expensive over, 13 runs coming from it. 4 overs bowled, the score is 33 for no loss. 33 without loss after 4. 96 legal deliveries left, a maximum of 96 legal deliveries left in this match. And the score of 33 means that you need another 68 runs if you are Seattle. So, in theory, this could be a very, very short match. I don't think it will go the full 20 overs. You have a maximum of 20 overs in which to score your 101 runs. But the rate at which the Kingsmen X are going, they don't appear to be in any danger. And in fact, if anyone gets out, you have some pretty big names coming after that. Oh, looking to go big. Missing out on that attempted shot is Kura Manzoor. He's falling behind just a little bit. Kura Manzoor 10 from 13 with 2 fours. Umer Khan 22 from 11 with 5 fours. Stroked down the ground, wide down to long on, and it's just going to be a single. So Scoop, yes, you are good luck. I think Seattle will probably want you not watching, because as soon as I brought up your comment, all of a sudden the Kingsmen X started scoring like they had a plane to catch. And in the meantime, this is going to be Umer Khan on strike, 22 from 11 with 5 fours. And this is Rahul Nama. Oh, good delivery. Very good delivery. Getting that ball just short of driving length and getting a bit of bounce and a bit of turn. Well played in the end, just to smother that spin to keep that ball down by Umer Khan. Oh, lofted down the ground. That's going to be either 4 or 6. Where does it go? I believe, yep, went for 6, all the way for 6. That is such an elegant looking shot. Well, the first delivery to Umer Khan was a good one. This next one was just a touch too full. Got it too full, and Umer Khan not needing to come down the wicket to get to the pitch of the ball, only just driving through the line. That ball was right in the slot, and he lofted it beautifully down the ground over the top of mid-off. I suspect if mid-off had been back on the boundary at long-off, he may well have had a chance to catch that. But with mid-off inside the circle, there was no risk whatsoever to that shot. And in fact, it went all the way for 6. So we're now into the 40s. The Kingsmen X 4 deliveries into the 5th over are almost a third of the way to, in fact, they're past a third of the way to victory. They're looking for 100 runs, 101 runs. They only need another 61 from here. And Nama, his 1.4 overs so far have cost 11 runs. Nama left-handed, bowling finger spin. In other words, he's spinning the ball with his left hand. He's a finger spinner. So any turn that he gets will be into the left-handed batter. Playing it off the back foot this time to mid-wicket for no run. And now, with 1 ball remaining, make that 2 balls remaining. Oh, look at that ball bounce. Where did that bounce come from? Wow. I'd want to see that again. I want to see a replay of that, because that ball bounced off of a length and surprised everyone, including the keeper. Look at this replay. Oh, look at that bounce. You don't normally see a spinner generate that type of bounce from that length. And luckily, it was not in danger of getting out. It didn't come off the bat or the glove, but certainly something that you'd want to be aware of if you're a spinner. So you get a moral victory towards the end of that over if you're Rahul Nama, but it still goes for 7 runs. And so you're still not stopping the onslaught of runs, because there is only another 61 runs to go in the next 90 balls. So we are 5 overs through. We're looking for the last over coming up of the power play. With this last over, the power play, meaning that after this over, after the next 6 balls, the fielding side can be more defensive. You can have more fielders in the deep. So to continue my baseball analogy, imagine if baseball had a power play, the restriction would be that you can't have a left fielder and a right fielder. You can only have a center fielder in the deep. And then after the power play, you can put the left fielder and the right fielder back where you'd ordinarily have them. That's sort of the idea. During the power play overs in cricket, you have to have more fielders closer to the bat, within 30 yards of the bat. After the power play is finished, then you can push back as many as 5. You have 9 fielders total, so 11 to a side. There's a keeper, there's a bowler, and then there are 9 fielders. During the power play overs, 7 of the 9 need to be inside the 30-yard circle. After the power play overs, you can have up to 5 outside the circle. So this is the last over of the power play coming up, being bowled by Matt Trump. That's a good ball. Jagging into the batter and defending it in front of the stumps is Kura Manzoor. 11 from 16 are his figures so far. Not needing to do anything rash, because more than anything else, you want to make sure that you just bat through the innings. This almost can feel to you like a practice match, because you're chasing such a low total that you don't need to take any chances, and for the most part you can get there just in singles because the target is so low. This is played, deflected by the fielder and the covers. There's coverage out there in the deep. In fact, it's a good thing that that ball was deflected, otherwise that may well have gone all the way to the boundary for 4. But still a single. So you're now up to 41. Kura Manzoor up to 12 from 17 with 2 4s. Umair Khan 28 from 15 with 5 4s and a 6. Now the field changing around a little bit for the right-hander. So once again, thank you all for all the comments that you've made and for the ability to have a conversation about this great game. That's well played and also well fielded by Matthew Trump and his follow-through. That ball could have gone down the ground for 4 because mid-on and mid-off are inside the circle. Looking at this replay, see that ball could have gone right back down the ground for 4 because you don't have a fielder. There's never a fielder allowed directly behind the bowler. So if that passed the bowler himself, had he not been able to stop that, it may well have gone down the ground for 4. Here's Matt Trump again. Short and pulled into the deep. Nobody's out there, but he didn't time it very well. So they'll get 2 as the fielder running back from mid-wicket is able to control it and get it back in. So just another couple of runs to the total. So this is all starting to drag along now. It's starting to get the feel of a practice match. And if you're Seattle, you want to do what you can to build some pressure. Try to manufacture some sort of way to put these batters under pressure. It's not happening yet. And you want to make sure that you try to make them work for the runs that they need to get. Trump again around the wicket. Oh, lovely looking shot, but straight to mid-off. It's a no run. That is 1 ball. Make that 2 balls remaining. No, 1 ball remaining in the power play. 43 runs scored, 58 runs needed. By comparison, at this exact stage in the first innings, Seattle had 23 runs on the board. So if they had 23 runs on the board, that gives you a sense of how far ahead of this game the Kingsmen X are. Slower delivery, but it goes wrong down the leg side. I don't mind trying something. As I said, Matthew Trump needs to be able to try to do something to break the sort of stagnant pall that has come over this match. And he tried a loopy, slow delivery, which sometimes can be very effective if it's on the stumps. But it was not on the stumps. It was down the leg side and certainly adjudged wide. Ooh, Scoop, you just asked a question that I absolutely will address after this next ball. Matthew Trump bowling now again to the left-handed Umair Khan from around the wicket. Looking to pull it down the leg side. Half-hearted appeal, but it's gone. Not the best ball that Matthew Trump will ever bowl. But looking to pull that away behind square was Umair Khan. And obviously it clipped something, either the bat or the glove on the way through. Big, good piece of keeping by the keeper, diving away to get that one. Here we see on the replay, Trump coming in, getting that ball too straight, going down the leg side, looking to flick that away, and it just looks to have flicked the glove on the way through. Has to be said, Matthew Trump did not appeal at all. Looking at that replay, he did not appeal, but the keeper appealed, and a couple of other close fielders appealed. And umpire Owen Brown, after having heard the appeal, would have made up his mind that that did clip something on the way through. Yep, looking at the replay, that certainly came off of the face of, in fact, it may have just come off the glove. Here we see the replay again. Good work by SC Productions to get us this replay going down the leg side, and that just looks to clip the glove on the way through, and a good athletic piece of work by the keeper to snatch that one to his right. So Omer Khan goes, not the best delivery that Matthew Trump has ever bowled, but he absolutely will take the wicket. So the first wicket goes down, and at the end of that passage of play, that is the end of the power play, and the end of the power play results in a wicket. Matthew Trump takes that wicket. The score is 44 for 1. So, Scoop, back to your question. I've read that there are supposed to be matches in July in Dallas. You read accurately. Major League Cricket will start in this country for the very first time in Grand Prairie. Grand Prairie used to be the home of a AAA baseball team. I forget their names, but the Air Hogs, thank you. the Grand Prairie Air Hogs. That team went defunct, and Major League Cricket purchased that stadium a couple of years ago and are currently in the process of repurposing it into be a cricket stadium. So effectively, they removed the entire lower level of seats and went to work building a cricket field. A cricket field is much bigger than a baseball field. So to convert a baseball stadium to a cricket stadium, you certainly need a lot more room. So they ripped out the entire lower level of seats, and I visited it myself last week. They're coming along very well. And Major League Cricket tips off for the first time in Dallas, make that Grand Prairie, on July 13th. The Grand Prairie Stadium will be the home of Major League Cricket. The matches take place in 2 locations this season. There are 6 Major League teams. Texas, New York, Seattle, San Francisco, Washington, and I'm forgetting the 6th right now, New York. And those 6 teams will play in 2 stadiums. The first round takes place in Grand Prairie. The second round takes place at Church Street Park in Morrisville, North Carolina. And then they come back to Grand Prairie for the playoffs and the finals in late July. So the matches start on July 6th. I think they moved to Church Street Park in North Carolina on July 18th, if I remember correctly. And then back to Grand Prairie for the playoffs and final, which starts, I believe, on the 27th. And the season wraps up on the 31st. So long way of saying big time cricket is coming to this country, and we will see a pretty exciting tournament. If you're not necessarily a cricket fan, then I can call some names. You probably wouldn't recognize the names, but just know that these are not only local cricketers from throughout the U.S., but professional cricketers from throughout the world who have been contracted to play in the minor leagues for that first season. So a pretty exciting deal for those of us in this country who love cricket. I'll be there with bells on. Hopefully you will too. In the meantime, as this match goes along, it's Kuram Manzoor 15 from 19 and Fawad Alam, the new batter, coming in at the fall of the last wicket. Umer Siddiqui or Umer Khan, he's dismissed, and now Fawad Alam is in. Short ball powered away down to long on, wide long on, comes across and only limits the damage to 1 run. Brett, I know reading your comments, it might sound like I'm paying you money to say that. I guarantee you that you and I both know that you're not paying me, but thank you very much for the compliment. And Brett, you have done well in so many different ways. This is hit in the air. Oh my goodness. Speaking of Brett Trump, his son Matthew almost pulled off a spectacular catch, standing on the circle at cover, and went at that with one hand, jumped, and almost dismissed Fawad Alam, professional cricketer from Pakistan. Look at this replay going back and oh, just missing that. If you watch the Ashes yesterday, you see Ben Stokes would have almost had a miss almost identical to that one. Over his head, jumped and had it touch the flick off the top of his hand, but not able to put it away. Absolute excellent, excellent cricketer. And great try there by Matt Trump. And speaking of whom, here he is coming in to bowl now. And yes, Cricket Explained. If I were the land forward, a former Pakistani player, yep, that's exactly him. And you can tell by the ridiculously open stance that you're about to see. His stance appears as though he's facing the ball is coming in from mid-wicket. Very similar to somebody like Shivnaran Chandapal, the former West Indies captain and middle order batter. Just look at his stance. In baseball terms, he has a wide open stance. In fact, it's so wide open, it appears as though the bowler is coming in from the right of your screen, the left of the screen, instead of the bottom of your screen. And he plays this one beautifully off the back foot to the sweeper on the boundary for no run. Oh my goodness, this is something we're absolutely excited about. So reading your comment here between Cricket Explained and Scoop, yes, the T20 version of the game is the version that would, I think, most easily translate to a U.S. crowd. Most U.S. sports finish somewhere between 3.5 hours, and that's exactly the time frame in which a T20 match ends in. Matthew Trump now into his third over. Oh, looking to pull this away. Good pace on that delivery. Big swipe and a miss by Kuram Manzoor. And in terms of the different formats of cricket, T20 is the shortest form and these days the most popular form. If you are an old guy like myself, you prefer the longer form of the game. And by longer form, I mean the 5-day version or the test match version. Cricket Explained just mentioned that. And I do agree with you, Cricket Explained. You're not going to see that format played here in the U.S., I don't think, forever. But certainly the format that I prefer myself. Hit in the air and caught. Oh, he hammered that, but picked out Rishi Bardwaj in the covers. It went straight to him like a bullet, but he hung on, and that is a brilliant catch. That is never easy. For those of you who are not ordinarily cricket fans, that cricket ball is as hard as a baseball. And so the fielders field without gloves, so it takes some catching to be able to catch that ball. He absolutely hammered that. Here you see on the replay, blasting that ball, but straight to Rishi Bardwaj in the covers. And so the second wicket goes down. Look, Seattle is not out of this game. Once again, you only need 10 good balls before the opposition gets 100 runs. And you've already gotten 2 of those good balls, and only half of the runs are on the board. Slower delivery there by Matthew Trump, so he did something to change the action. And in going for that big shot, Kuram Manzoor was not able to keep the ball down. Ends up just holding out, hammered it actually pretty hard, but it went straight to Rishi Bardwaj's left, and he snatched it without much trouble. So that is a good catch on a big wicket. And all of a sudden, new batter is Tajinder Singh. This will be interesting. Tajinder Singh is a brutal hitter of the cricket ball. He's a very powerful striker of the ball. So you have Tajinder Singh, who's the new batter. At the other end, you have Fawad Alam, Pakistani international test batter. And both of these batters, I think, if they put their minds to it, can get this game over with in a very short period of time. So let's see exactly how they approach it from here, because you certainly can go big if you need to or if you want to. So I wonder what their effort is going to be. Tajinder Singh, right-handed batter. Played a very high level of first-class cricket in India. Matthew Trump, ooh, half-hearted appeal going back to a full ball from Matthew Trump. Hitting the deck hard that time. Always going to be something that you see a fast bowler after he takes a wicket. That first delivery usually is full of pace because you're pumped up, your adrenaline is flowing after having taken a wicket. That's almost always the case. And Cricket Explained, your question is July's MLC going to be streamed live on YouTube for those outside the US? I'll answer that question in just a second. Playing this off the back foot to mid wicket, no run. The simple answer to that question is I don't know what the arrangements are for people living outside the US. I suspect, and I stand to be proven wrong, I'm not certainly somebody who is part of the planning committee or has anything to do with the media rights for this tournament, but I suspect that it will be broadcast here in the US on Willow TV. My suspicion is that that's accurate. If it's not Willow TV, in fact, it will be on Willow TV because I do remember seeing a couple of ads for it. But, and this is whipped in the air, doesn't carry all the way to square leg, bounces once, and Tajinder Singh is off the mark. Almost clipped that one straight to square leg for a catch. But he lives to fight another day. That is the end of the 8th over. Score is 52 for 2. So back to you, Cricket Explained. I honestly don't know what the arrangement is for people outside the US. I would suspect that you will be able to see, well, if you're in the US, you can watch it on Willow TV. I don't know whether or not you can watch Willow TV outside of the US. So I apologize for not knowing the actual answer to that question. For those of you who are here in the US, you certainly can watch it on Willow TV. Whether your cable TV or your satellite TV provider provides that channel, you can catch it there, or Willow TV has an app that you can download and watch it via that route as well. Sai Shankar wants to know, where is Joshua Trump? Which is he playing for? Well, Joshua Trump is lying on his back about 10 feet away from me. I could just ask him. Josh, who are you playing for? Huh? Joshua Trump is playing for the Texas Thunder. So there you have it. I should call you over here to come do commentary. You're obviously not doing anything. Joshua Trump, the brother of Matthew Trump. Again, two of the more exciting young cricketers here in Texas and in the U.S. Brilliant, both brilliant batters, and Josh Trump is also a wicket keeper. So change in bowling is going to be Mahedar Mulapudi again. Bowled 1 over so far, conceded 9 runs. Score is 52 for 2 and looking to hopefully take a wicket and make something happen. This is down the leg side. Good piece of keeping. Diving away as a keeper and snagging that one that could have very easily been 5 wides. But certainly not going to be the case. Good piece of keeping to prevent that from happening. That is Prajit Moody with the gloves. Mulapudi again. And this is played to square leg for a single. So not much energy in this game, it has to be said right now. Mulapudi now bowling to Fawad Alam. Once again, look for Fawad Alam's stance. Absolutely wide open. Looks to be facing mid-wicket or maybe even square leg as he prepares to face the bowling. Look at that stance. Look how absolutely open he is. That's played off the back foot. That's Matthew Trump down there deep at point and just prevents much damage. Just a single. So the scoreboard just ticking over very, very slowly here. We're more than halfway through this match in terms of the runs scored. They need another 46 runs and they have another 70 balls in which to get them. Looking to work this off his legs is Tajinder Singh. Ends up just with what I believe is going to be a leg by. Nope, just a run off the bat. And in fact, the only signal coming from umpire Rakesh Jain is that signal to Owen Brown that they're halfway through the over. So this game at this stage is sort of meandering to what feels like a relatively straightforward result. In the air, down to deep third, and taken. Look at this. Okay, so we needed 10 good balls if we are Seattle. We've already gotten 3 of them. And that wicket that just fell is the wicket of a Pakistani test batter. So that's not a small event. That is a huge wicket. And boy, you must be really happy, Mr. Sai Shankar. Your former teammate just took a very big wicket. Didn't do much with the bat, but he just knocked over a Pakistani opening or a Pakistani middle order batter. So the third wicket goes down, the ball outside off. And you saw on the replay there, looking to flash that away over the offside, but just getting a thick top edge. And that ball carrying all the way down to deep third. And that, I believe, was Rishi Bardwaj who was down there who took that other catch. That was a good catch. And 3 wickets are down. So you need 7 more wickets. The game is not exactly over. But in looking to see who is coming into bat now, this is Shehan Jayasuriya. We saw him bowl earlier, right-handed bowler, but he's more known as a hard-hitting middle-order batter. So he plays shots all around the ground. You can expect that he may take a little bit of time to get settled, but he ordinarily scores at a very quick rate. So it will be interesting to see what exactly happens from here, because you now have 2 very aggressive batters at the crease. Tajinder Singh so far has scored 3 from 5, but he can be a brutal striker of the cricket ball. And then Shehan Jayasuriya, now new to the crease, looking to see whether or not he can get this game over with. You don't want to be too cute if you are the Kingsmen X. You want to get this game over with, because you don't want ever to have Seattle Thunderbolts starting to think that they have a chance to win this game. And so it will be interesting to see the approach taken here from Shehan Jayasuriya. His first delivery, that's outside the line of off, way too far outside the line of off, and it's adjudged wide. He will have to re-bowl that. Still 2 balls remaining in this over. And Brett, I completely agree with you. Much better intensity in the bowling department and good energy in the field. I completely agree with you. And much of that done, I think, caused by Rishi Bardwaj. Outside the line of off. This time, umpire Rakesh Jain thinks that is fine. So 1 more ball remaining here in the 9th over. 57 runs on the board. Just another 44 needed. You're only needing to score at the rate of 3.94 from here to win. But if you don't score at that rate, you know, you can certainly prolong this game. Look at that great delivery, and it's given him. Wow. What an absolute peach of a delivery. It hit on a good length and absolutely took off. And it flicked something on the way through, either glove or bat. And I want to see that replay, but that is a huge wicket. Here's the replay. This game, does this game have another big change in it? Here's a delivery, extra bounce, and that looks to have flicked the glove on the way through. Immediately going up, and saw the immediate appeal and the immediate response to the appeal by umpire Rakesh Jain. So 2 big wickets. Sai Shankar, you must be on cloud 9. Those 2 big wickets are gigantic in the context of this game, both in terms of who was dismissed and in terms of what it creates. What it does create is a little bit of pressure. And so 4 wickets are down, still 44 runs needed, and that is the end of the 9th over. The score is 57 for 4. So this game has changed a lot in the last couple of overs. Tajinder Singh is still there. He's only scored 3 from 5, and the partner coming in to join him, who is now at the non-strikers end, is another international player. This is Nkrumah Bonner. Nkrumah Bonner bats at number 3 typically for the West Indies. He's been injured for the last year or so. I personally last saw him in a test match, I believe, in Antigua last summer, and he looked really good there from memory. I think he scored 118. He will not get the opportunity to score 118 here because there's only 43 runs more needed after that single. But I'll tell you what, this is going to be an interesting close. It will test the mental acuity of these two players. Tajinder Singh now 4 from 6 balls faced, and then Nkrumah Bonner will be taking strike for the first time. He needs another, well, he and his partner would need another 43 runs, and they'll be telling themselves they need to do it themselves. And this is just defended in front of the stumps for no run. You absolutely do not need to go crazy if you are the Kingsmen X, but you also don't want to go into a shell. You don't want to feed into the energy that the Seattle Thunderbolts now have. Oh, going back to a full ball, defending it. This is Rishi Bardwaj. Did well in the field and now has the ball in hand. 2 catches in the field. And now with ball in hand, he's bowling well. Really tight over so far. 1 run from the first 3 balls. Hiding the ball behind his back. Sunil Narayan style. And that's worked to square leg for a single. Speaking of Sunil Narayan, I think Sunil Narayan is also one of those who's going to be playing in the minor leagues. In the major leagues. Don't ask me which team he'll play for. I apologize for not knowing that offhand, but I certainly did see where he will be playing in the major leagues. If you know who he'll be playing for, feel free to drop a note. Let me know. Sweeping, but straight to the fielder's short fine leg. A dot ball. A little bit of pressure being built now. Just 2 runs from this over so far, with 1 ball to come. Do you do something here if you're Tajinder Singh to break the shackles? Do you look to transfer some of the pressure back onto Rishi Bardwaj and the Seattle Thunderbolts? Let's see what happens on this ball. Reaching for this one, knocking it into the covers. They'll get a single, but that single represents the end of the 10th over. 3 runs coming from this over. A good over by Rishi Bardwaj. And I'll tell you what, we're halfway through this match in terms of overs. 60 runs are on the board, so you're scoring right now at the rate of 6 and over. You only need to score at the rate of 4.1 runs and over the rest of the way. But this game all of a sudden has a different feel to it. My goodness, I absolutely love to see Seattle turning this into a fight. And you certainly heard Cameron, let's go Thunderbolts, good fight. I absolutely love to see that, because if nothing else, it gives me something to be excited about. This is not always easy if you're commentating on a one-sided match, but on a match where the team that is down is trying to get up off the canvas, to use a boxing term, you absolutely love to see that. So, back to Mahidharan Bulapudi. Bowling right arm over the wicket, bowling to Tajinder Singh. And defended back to the bowler for no run. We're into the 11th over, so we're into the second half of the second innings. So we're more than 3/4 of the way through this match. And thank you very much for your very kind comment, Michael Legat. When I don't have my commentator's hat on, I am a member of the development committee of USA Cricket. And one of the main things I'm passionate about, one of the main things that's important to me, is being able to explain the sport to people who don't know it. You cared enough about the sport to come here and appeal down the leg side. Nope, not going to be given. It's off the pad. That's immediately signaled by Rakesh Jain. Good umpiring. It came off of the body of Tajinder Singh, flicked off of his thigh pad. And appeal, yes, you certainly have the right to appeal if you think that it could have been out. But the umpire, I think, made the right call. But as I was saying, Michael, it's important enough to me that you came here, you made the effort to watch this feed, to understand what the sport is about. So I'm not doing my job either as a cricket fan or as a member of the development committee if I'm not able to help you understand what you're seeing on your screen. Oh, whipping away behind square for 4. Absolutely brilliant shot. That's how you transfer some of that pressure back onto the bowling side That ball just a touch too straight. Looking at this replay, you'll see this ball slanting into the body of Tajinder Singh, and he just steps inside the line. There, just stepping inside the line and flicking it behind square. There's a fielder at deep fine leg, but he was not fine enough to get to that ball. So it races away for 4, and it feels like a very well-needed boundary because they were under some pressure, but all of a sudden Tajinder Singh with a boundary there and sliced in the air. There's going to be 4 more over the top of the infield, consecutive boundaries, and all of a sudden it feels like that pressure has been taken completely off of the batting side and back onto Seattle. Only now 33 runs away. They are up to 68. My goodness. And here you see the replay. That ball too wide outside the off stump. Overcorrecting that time was Mullapudi. Hope I said his name right. Mullapudi. Overcorrected on the line. The first one that went for 4 was too straight. This next one is too far outside the line of off stump, and it was crashed away for 4. So consecutive boundaries. Good delivery. Full and absolutely dead straight. Just shaved. Could have almost shaved that off stump. I want to see a replay on that one because that was a Yorker length ball, and it looks like it just missed that off stump. So good ball. That's certainly a good comeback. In the meantime, you still have another 33 runs to get. Yep, I just saw that replay and certainly missing off stump, but not by a whole lot. Next delivery, full again. Yorker length, driven back to the bowler for no run. And that is the end of the over. 8 runs coming from the over. Once again, some of that pressure that was building on the Kingsmen was released to some extent by those 2 boundaries in the over. One going down to fine leg and the other going over backward point. So 8 runs coming from the over. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it certainly does bring the Kingsmen X back into what I think is pole position. So if we don't have the technology here to have a win predictor, but if we did have a win predictor at this stage, I think it would have swung back in the direction of the Kingsmen X. And of course you have Nkrumah Bonner at the wicket. And here you have a Jamaican batter as well as a Jamaican umpire. Owen Brown from Montego Bay, Jamaica. Place where I personally am from and hope to be in about 2 weeks, God willing. In the meantime, Rishi Bardwaj looking to continue to push and try to retransfer that pressure back onto the batting side. So he needs a tight over here. He needs an over where 2 or 3 runs are scored. Next delivery, Bonner looking to cut that one. He stays low and he gets a thick under edge. He's going to run close to the boundary and in fact goes all the way to the boundary for 4. So a little fortuitous there. Looking to go back and cut that one square. Look at the replay. Bonner trying to play that square. Got an under edge and it rolled directly behind him. Very easily could have gone onto the off stump, but evades both the stump and the fielders and runs all the way to the boundary for 4. So really fortuitous boundary that time. It could have gone anywhere, but luckily for Bonner, it evades everything important and runs down to the boundary for 4. So Rishi Bardwaj, I said he needed a tight over, but that first ball going for 4 releases a lot of that pressure. Very full and driven down the ground by Bonner. That's just going to be a single. So 5 runs already from this over, so only another 28 runs needed. You only need to score at the rate of 3.23 runs and over from here. And more than anything else, you just want to have the scoreboard ticking. You don't want to have Seattle start thinking that they'll get back into this match. That's exactly what they're feeling like right now, going back Tajinder Singh and punching this one down to mid-wicket. So back to what we were saying earlier, for those of you who are joining us who are relatively new to the sport, we probably don't have a whole lot of time to go in this match. I would think that this match may not go all the way to 20 overs. That's well defended by Bonner in front of the stumps for no run. So the point is, if you have a question or more that you want to ask, now would probably be a good time. And if that's not the case, then you can join us on the feed tomorrow. There are a handful of games, and the games are going to be going on tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and then the final on Sunday. Back foot, oh, almost an instant replay of the four earlier. This time it only trickles to short fine leg and they get a single. Oh, good question asked by Scoop. Are field size and shape standardized? The answer to that question is no. So very similar to baseball, there is very little in terms of the dimensions that is standard. So in baseball, you might have the green monster in Boston, where you need to hit the ball 100 feet in the air to hit a home run, and then down the other line, you may only need to hit it 260 feet to hit a home run. In cricket, generally, you'll have the outfield be around 65 to 75 yards. 75 would be a very large cricket field. 65 is about standard. But what is standard is the distance between the two sets of stumps. That's 22 yards, 66 feet. In other words, just longer than the distance from home plate to the pitcher's mound. And then the 30-yard circle that goes around the infield, that is certainly also standard. So, and we say 30-yard circle. It's not exactly 30-yard circle. What it is two half circles starting on either side of the wicket if you look at your fielding positions from point to square leg, two semicircles, and then the same semicircle at the other end, and then those two semicircles are joined by a straight line. So that's exactly what it is. We say a 30-yard circle because it's easier than explaining what I just explained, but that's exactly the thinking. Sai Shankar, will you do commentary for Major League Cricket as well? Unfortunately, no. Well, maybe not unfortunately, because then I get to be in the stands drinking beer and talking to you all. I'll be there as a fan. My understanding is that the powers that be are bringing in their commentators from overseas. This is lofted in the air. That's a lovely looking stroke from the West Indies number 3 batter, Nkrumah Bonner, and he blasts it over extra cover for 4. So that makes a big difference. Once again, that pressure transferred back onto the bowling side, and I think that may just be the last bit of pressure transfer, because we are now at the end of, in fact, one ball into the 13th over. The score is now 79 for 4. And yeah, to answer your question, Sai, to continue answering your question, I made it wear a shirt saying I am Brian Walters. So if you want to walk up and ask any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions while we're sitting in the stands in Dallas. I do not plan to have any official duties, so I'd be there just hopefully being as much as possible as a fan. And to the ever extent that I can, I'll be here to answer any questions that you like. Good. Well played by Bonner, just defending that one. A little bit quicker delivery, and he's on quickly onto the front foot to defend. And by the way, so after cricket is finished, after the Major League Cricket season, we have minor leagues. So minor leagues start in August. There are 26, if I remember correctly, minor league teams throughout the U.S. The minor league teams in this part of the country are the Lone Star Athletics, the Houston Hurricanes, both of whom play here in the Houston area. The Hurricanes play right here at Prairie View. The Lone Star Athletics play at Musa Cricket Ground in Pearland, Texas, southeast of here by about an hour. And then certainly the Dallas Mustangs, who play in the Dallas area. Those are the 3 teams that will be here minor league season. And listen out for those. I certainly will be doing commentary, God willing, in the minor leagues. And so I am always going to be there to answer any questions if you were to want to see them. Scoop, last question. If there was any all-time T20 match to watch, what would it be? Scoop, if you're asking about a match that has already happened, I can probably tell you the most exciting T20 match that I've seen personally. It was West Indies against New Zealand. This was in Lauderhill, Florida in 2012. It was one of the more entertaining cricket matches I've ever seen. If I remember correctly, the West Indies scored around 250 runs. Chris Gale and Kieran Pollard were among the runs, and New Zealand fell short at the end, but it was very, very exciting. Michael Lee got anything involving the West Indies. Chris Gale is the cricket beast mode. You are exactly right. Chris Gale, tall, left-handed power hitter, retired. Maybe not officially retired, but hasn't been selected for a couple of years now. And I think these days, Chris Gale, I would say Chris Gale is probably 44 years old. If I remember correctly, Chris Gale was 20 when I first saw him in 2000. So that would make him about 43 years old now. So I think his days on the cricket field are done, but still one of the more exciting cricketers who has ever played the game. In the meantime, this game is now meandering towards what is probably a predictable result. We are now at 81. That should be the end of the over, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, that's the end of the over. So at the end of 80, or the end of 413, the score is 81 for 4. Michael Ligot. Chris even looks like the OG beast mode Marshawn Lynch. Well, Chris Gale would look like Marshawn Lynch if Marshawn Lynch were maybe 8 inches taller and lighter by probably 30 pounds. Chris Gale, somewhere around 6'4". When he played, it was probably 200 pounds. If I remember correctly, Marshawn Lynch is about 5'9", 250. So a little bit different in terms of size and shape, but yeah, in their own right and in their respective games, they both fit that beast mode moniker very well. Rishabh Bardwaj again. There goes Bonner. That is 6. Sailing over the top of long on. Bonner has seen enough and wants to get this game over with. The first ball from Rishabh Bardwaj is blasted down the ground for 6. So Bonner now moving up to 18 from 14 balls faced. Wants to get things over with. It feels like there's just another 14 runs to go. And with Rishabh Bardwaj into his third over. 2 very economical overs, but this third one has started with a 6. And this is played off the back foot. That's Matthew Trump coming in off the ropes at deep cover. Just another 13 runs to go for victory now. There you see just on that replay, blasting that ball down the ground. Bonner, very capable batter, and capable of batting long. He will not certainly need to bat long. Maybe not even in this entire tournament. Whoa, looking to go big, Tajinder Singh, missing out on the attempted hoik. But the ball gets away and they get a bye. Okay, so for those of you who don't know what a bye is, a bye in cricket is very similar to a passed ball in baseball. In baseball, the catcher doesn't collect the ball and it dribbles towards the backstop and the runners move up a base, that's exactly what a bye is, at least the equivalent in cricket, where the keeper doesn't collect the ball and it ricochets far enough away that the batters can run a run. So with that bye, only 12 runs needed, just 2 big strokes if Bonner chooses to do that. Oh, just for a split second, started to wind up and go that direction, and he ends up just banging it down the ground for a couple. So now we're just 10 runs away from the end of this match. 91 for 4 is the score. Bonner now up to 21 from 17 with 2 fours and the 6. Tajinder Singh 14 from 17 with 2 fours. Bardwaj bowling now to Bonner, and Bonner just happened to defend that on the front foot. That is the end of the over. 14 overs bowled, 10 coming from that over. Just another 10 runs to go for victory for the Kingsmen X. The score is 91 for 4. Eh? So 10 more runs needed. We're about to start the 15th over. I suspect that we have a maximum of 2 overs left in this match. And this is going to be Kohli will be taking the ball and bowling from the forest end. Shashwat Kohli, right arm leg spinner, it looks like. Bowling to Tajinder Singh. Tajinder Singh, 14 from 17 with 2 boundaries. Oh, outside the line of off. Got away with that one. Not adjudged wide. Just for a split second, I thought that might have been adjudged wide by umpire Rakesh Jain. Off the back foot this time, punching it out into the deep for a single. So we're now doing it in singles from this point on, it appears. 9 runs needed. And just seeing your comment, James, thank you for your commentary. Appreciate it. It is absolutely my pleasure. And I am not just saying that. It really is my pleasure because I love playing the role of helping people who don't understand the game get to understand it just a little bit more. So you're absolutely welcome. So that was a single taken. So just another single coming up. Score now 94 for 4. And it appears just 7 more singles will put us or send us all home for the evening. Next delivery from Kohli. Bonner off the back foot. This is going to be at least 2 of them. No, they choose not to. They just jog through. This now has the feel of a practice match. I said that a couple of overs ago. At this point, there's no need to go with any sense of urgency because there's only 6 runs needed and you still have another 32, 31 balls after, well, after this ball it will be 30. Reaching off for this one, Tajinder Singh, and punching it into the covers for another single. So 5 runs coming from that over. 15 up. The score is 96 for 4. Yo. Come again? Night Riders? Yeah. All right. Hold on. What is about Night Riders? Narayan? Oh, okay. Good. Yeah. All right, good. All right. Sorry. Yeah. So will this be the last over? It will be Rishi Barton. In fact, no, this is not Rishi Bardwaj. Short pulled around the corner. This is in fact Bajwa. Bowling for the first time today, and he pulls this one down to deep square leg for a single. So happy to do it in ones. It feels like the rest of the way. 4 runs needed. And by the way, we just heard from Roddy in the production area. Oh, Bonner going big. And that is the end of the game. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Going onto the back foot and blasting that one over the top of deep mid wicket. West Indies middle order batter making sure that there are no hiccups the rest of the way. And so pretty convincing victory in the end for the Kingsmen by 6 wickets. They had to work for it. There's no question they had to work for it. And credit to Seattle for fighting the way that they did. But the Kingsmen X take it in a relatively straightforward fashion. So just going through the full scorecard. Once again, Seattle batting first after winning the toss and choosing to bat. Dilpreet Bajwa, 7 from 13. Israel Haq, 2 from 6. Shashwat Kohli, 10 from 20. Haider Raja, 25 from 41. Haider Raja with the top score. Rishi Bardwaj, 2 from 5. Jagrup Raina, 15 from 18. Matt Trump, 3 from 3. Mahidar Molapudi, not from the first ball. Prajit Modi 3 from 3, Sanjay Nihal 8 from 9, and Rahul Nama 5 from 2. So all out, maybe not all out, just the last pair stayed there through the end of the innings. Bowling was excellent for the Kingsmen 11 or Kingsmen X. Ehsan Adil 4 overs 2 for 20 and Fawad Alam 4 overs 2 for 14 were the best bowlers there. And then certainly when it comes to the batting, they made short work of it. Stumbled a little bit in the middle. There's no question that there was a few hiccups, but at the end of the day, you have Kuram Manzoor 16 from 23, Umer Khan 30 from 19, Fawad Alam 4 from 5, Tanjana Singh not out 18 from 22. Shehan Jayasuriya did not trouble the scorers, and Nkrumah Bonner joining with Tajinder Singh at the end and putting 29 runs on the board with 2 fours and 2 sixes. So a pretty straightforward victory in the end for the Kingsmen X. And absolutely a straightforward match. So that concludes the coverage from today's action here. This is the first match in the first day of the DAFA News Houston Open 2023. Do join us tomorrow on commentary if you're on YouTube. Well, if you're listening right now or watching, you know exactly where to find us tomorrow. We'll be right here tomorrow covering a couple of different matches. In fact, there are 8 different fields going on, or cricket going on at 8 fields over here. So plenty of cricket. If you're in the Houston area, come on out and watch. And if not, we'll join you here online. So for now, this is Brian Walters. Happy to have been with you for the last several hours, and we'll see you tomorrow.